Hello, I'm Dr. Jenkins and I'm going to be your 109 lab instructor. Under normal circumstances, we would be meeting in the lab in person, but because of the situation that we're in, we are doing it all online, but we're going to make the best of it and you are in good hands. All right, so just to make sure we're clear, you have Dr. Roberts for lecture and you have me for lab, okay? So you'll be signing on to his Blackboard page for his lecture sessions that he's going to record via Zoom. And then you're going to log on to your lab Blackboard page for all of the lab stuff with me. So when you go to Blackboard, you're going to have two pages, okay? One of them is going to say 109, I think it's 300, and that's your lecture, 109, 300, I think. But then your lab is going to have 10930A or 10930B. And if you see that A or B, you know it's the lab. All right? Okay. So for most of you that take this class, usually people take this as a fulfillment for their Gen Ed for science. So that means that most of the time it's not science people. It's okay, we still like you. Then again, there's always some people who take this, maybe who are going into dental hygiene or as an early introduction for a future nursing program. But wherever you are, okay, Dr. Roberts and I are here to make it as clear as possible. And then you just have to do the work, but we're here to answer questions. For the lab is a really important part of a science class. So typically we'd be in person and we'd be able to work with some test tubes and some beakers and some chemicals. We'd be able to dissect the rat, the sheep brain, the cow eye. Because we're doing this online, it's going to be a little bit different, but I'm going to be working as hard as I can to make it as close as it can be to being in lab in real person. It never can be the same as it is in person, but we're going to try. The benefit of the lab is hands-on. And a lot of times people like the lab because it's a little bit less structured than just a lecture, and it's hands-on. So hopefully you can utilize this as something a little bit more fun. I can try, right? So what to expect? Well, each week for lab, there's going to be a lab posted on Blackboard. And then with that lab, it'll be either a video, it'll just be lab material that you'll read through, okay? But it's going to be one clear lab for that week. And then along with each lab each week, there is a lab assignment. I will post that along with the lab itself. So what you'll do is you'll go through the lab, you'll read it, you'll watch the videos, and then you'll be able to answer the questions in the lab assignment. Sometimes the answers for the lab assignment will come right from the lab video or lab assignment. Sometimes there'll be a little bit more critical thinking. This is a college level course, so the expectations are college level. So with that critical thinking, I'm going to be asking you to take the information you're learning and apply it. If you have questions, we are here. I'm not going to give you the answer necessarily, but I certainly appreciate students that are trying the best that they can. And as they have questions, they reach out and I can give you some guidance and hopefully point you in the right direction. All right, so each week there'll be one lab, and with that lab there'll be a lab assignment, and there will also be each week an online lab quiz. Mostly multiple choice, okay? So you'll just click on the lab quiz. It'll be timed, and you'll just go through, I want to say there's going to be 20 questions per quiz. It might change a little bit, but you'll go through and answer the questions based on the lab for that week, okay? So each week, one lab, and then along with that lab, one lab assignment and one lab quiz. Now, no matter when your lab was originally scheduled for, all of your lab assignments and online lab quizzes will be due each Sunday at midnight. So we're not going to be meeting for lab at a certain time. I really believe that with what's going on in the world, I know a lot of our students are very busy taking care of kids, working, whatever else. So I don't think it's necessary to meet at a certain time. That means you're going to be able to do the lab at your own pace. Don't wait till the last minute though. If you email me Sunday at 3 p.m. and the assignment is due Sunday at midnight, um, it's unlikely I'm going to be able to get back to you. Even though I check my email as often as I can, I am not going to be, especially on the weekends, I'm not going to be available for questioning 24/7. Okay, last thing, and then I'll shut up. How to be successful. How to be successful, number one, is to do the work. You are going to see in the lab syllabus that I do not take late work. Maybe you've heard the word on the street about Dr. Jenkins. She's so mean. I'm not mean. We just have a timeline, and I'm very clear about that timeline. I will not accept something not even 1 minute late. So that means you got to do your things on time. For the online quizzes, do not wait until the last minute. Take them earlier in the week, or at least earlier on the weekend, so that if there's a technical problem, because it happens, sometimes Blackboard just freezes, that way you have time to email me and say, hey, Dr. J, the online quiz this week locked me out. Can you reset it? And I have time to write back and say, sure, it's reset. Go do it again. Okay? Now, if something comes up, because I know life happens, but if something comes up and it's unavoidable, I don't mean that you overslept or whatever, but if there's a death in the family or if you're in the hospital, you have to communicate with me. Send me an email. You're going to see on Blackboard, I have a Remind app on the phone. So you can, it's almost like texting, but without us having to have our phone numbers. So reach out to me. But if you do not reach out to me, it's going to be much more difficult for me to work with you. Okay, so hand in the work, do the work, hand it in on time. My other suggestions for how to succeed in this lab: use the lab as a way to boost your overall course grade. Lab is 25% of your whole course. So what you do with Dr. Roberts is 75%. And I'll be upfront, his exams are tough, okay? So you want to use the lab to help you. You want to be able to rely on the lab to boost your overall grade. The last thing I'm going to say is, I often suggest to students, no matter what your schedule is, if you can set aside time each week to do the coursework. So even though we're not meeting in person, even for myself, because I'm teaching from home, I find it very helpful. Okay, I'm going to do the 109 lab prep every Monday at 10 a.m. So if you can find, whatever time that is for you, if you can have a set time each week to do it, it makes you much more successful. Otherwise, you're just going to get busy with other things in your lives. All right? Okay, so I'm here if you have questions. We're going to make the best of it. And don't worry, you're in good hands. And good luck, everyone.